Maly, Maly, Maly. Always they find us inappropriate, but today especially so. Here we are with nowhere to go and nothing to do, sitting in a rusty pickup truck, the one leaking oil, the one with the busted transmission that sounds like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Here we are with the engine running for the AC, the doors wide open for our bare legs to spill out. Because this, right here, to survive the heat, this is all we have. An hour ago we became outcasts. One of us, not me, would not shut the fuck up. And since the grandmas are prepping for the monks and need to focus, we've been banished outside to choke on traces of manure blown in from the asparagus farms surrounding us, our hometown, this shitty place of boring dudes always pissing green stink. And according to the moss, everything about us appears at once too masculine and too feminine, our posture backs arching like the models in the magazines we steal, our clothes the rips, studs, and jagged edges, none of it makes sense to them. The two of us are wrong in every direction. Though Maly, the girl cousin, strikes them as less wrong than the boy cousin, me. Mom can suck my dick, Maly says, still not shutting the fuck up, her long hair rippling in the gas-tainted breeze of the vents, her blonde-orange highlights dancing, or trying to anyway. What is up her ass? Seriously, I should have a say in this party's fucking agenda. It's my birthright. At least Mom gives a fuck about you, I say, my chin resting on the steering wheel. Under the truck, the cracked concrete of Ma Eng's driveway seems to be steaming, and I swear the very dust in the air is burning, it's so hard to breathe. We can't even listen to the radio, you know? Can't focus on anything but our own sweaty boredom. I look up at the harsh blue sky, how it crushes the squat duplexes of G Block. I am trying to deprive Maly of my full attention, but her vivid presence, that vortex of cheap highlights, it exhausts my energy. Plus, she's slapping the side of my head. VES, VES, VES. Maly says. Look at me. Jesus, I whine, batting her hand away. I thought you gave zero fucks about this party. Why do you care if they're making a muck or not? It's what I want to eat, okay, and it's my dead mom. She violently throws her head sideways, cracking her neck. I mean, apparently she's not dead anymore, but still. Unsure of what to say, I clench my teeth into a lopsided smile. I can't help but admire her looks, as I always do. Almost with pride. Maly's got it going on, no matter how disheveled. Even today, on this random August Sunday, as we wait to celebrate the rebirth of her dead mother's spirit in the body of our second cousin's baby, she looks good. Her left leg's thrown up onto the dashboard, and I wouldn't be surprised if she started clipping her toenails. She's in a pair of jean shorts she stole from our other cousin, who was too chunky for them anyway, and a white t-shirt cut into a tank also stolen, which she stuffed down her panties, so you can notice her thin waist. Hard to say if it's intentional, the way her clothes fit, all these hand-me-downs, which is the effect she uses, I guess, to chew up guys too dumb to realize she will spit them right out. Through her cheap sunglasses, I see her bug eyes looking at me and past me at the same time, an expression affirming how I feel sometimes, like she's my responsibility, like I'm a dead broom reincarnated into a human, my sole purpose to sweep away her messes whatever Maly happens to shatter next. Stop being dramatic, I tell her, my hands tapping the steering wheel. You know it's all bullshit, the celebration, the monks, our third cousin, or whoever the hell she is. I'm not sure I believe what I'm saying, or if I'm just trying to make Maly feel better. It makes zero sense, right? I add. Like, I'm no expert, but why would your mom reappear over a decade later? Maly shrugs her shoulders, indifferent now, too full of herself to entertain my attempts to console her. It reminds me of our sleepovers. Whenever my dad got stupid drunk, my mom would send me to Ma Eng's. He was never violent in front of me, but who knows what happened between my parents when I was sleeping on Maly's bedroom floor, especially in those years when my dad was jobless after his restaurant failed and before he started cooking lunch for a rich kid's school, and when it became obvious I wasn't, you know, a normal boy, that I was a girly wimp who despised sports and watched weird movies. I was a precocious freak who came out before puberty, and I was clearly doomed. It's hard enough for people like us, my mom would say. All very cliché, in that gay sob story kind of way, but I can't explain it any better than that. They are my immigrant parents. Anyway, every night of what my mom called bonding time with grandma, even though technically Ma Ing's my great-aunt, Maly would nudge me awake with some fake urgent question, like was she actually pretty, or even that funny. For weeks, she obsessed over our 8th grade English teacher, how he claimed she wasn't ready for the high school honors track, and then refused to write her a letter of recommendation. Why do teachers always hate me? What if that stupid dirtbag is right? Every night I told her, "You're awesome, everyone's a dick," and so on, only to discover that she'd fallen asleep before I even stopped talking. I was always there for Maly, right where she wanted me, on the floor beside her bed, doling out reassurances until she sank into her dreams. Though maybe she's getting worse these days, needier than usual. Because in less than a week, I'm heading to a 4-year university in LA, while Maly's stranded, stuck with Ma Ing for another 2 years, at least, as she makes do with community college. Maly has closed the passenger door, and is now sticking her head out of the window. She leans her right hip against the door, presses her left foot onto the center console, holding herself in place for a moment, grabbing onto the truck's roof, until she steadies herself into a stillness, like she's posing for a famous photographer. I watch her, skeptically, as she dares to go handless, crams her fingers into her mouth, and whistles a deafening sound. "Get over here, bitch!" she shouts, and my limbs tense up. Jogging toward us now is Rithi, his arms bulging around a basketball, baggy gym shorts flopping. He looks like he always does, all brown kid swagger. He's the kind of guy who recites 50 Cent lyrics and loves Boys in the Hood and 8 Mile even though he doesn't, I suspect, get their political themes. This summer Rithi and Maly started fucking, which makes sense, as both of them have dead moms and shitty dads, but now I have to remind myself that I've also known Rithi forever. That he's not just Maly's personal plaything. Her boy toy, as she calls him. Maly returns to her seat and tilts her sunglasses down while licking her teeth. Rithi's not even at the truck yet, but there it is, Lolita. Neither of us has read the book, and only have seen the movie, but working at the video store, we both stare at that fading Lolita poster. Usually stoned. Stoned enough we get sucked into those heart-shaped glasses, that chick's wild, don't give a fuck look, the crazy bravado of that tagline, how did they ever make a movie of Lolita, as we burn illegal DVDs for our dipshit uncle to rent out. Aren't you supposed to be, like, setting up a party? Rithi teases as he leans against the truck's door and stretches out his legs. He's sweating all over, probably from shooting hoops at his cousin's house, and I can almost smell him. Everything Maly says about his body swirls in my head. We've been exiled, she tells him flatly. 'Cause every ma has been a psycho since the genocide. It's like, as long as they don't overthrow a government and, install a communist regime, they aren't being total dicks. Pleased with herself, Maly laughs. Your ma's hella rad, you know it, Rithi responds. Old lady comes through with the beef sticks. He raises the bottom of his shirt to wipe the sweat off his forehead, flashing that flat stomach of his. I don't even care if it's intentional. What time's the party again? Maly flings both her hands toward the duplex, as though pushing it all away. Go ask Ma Ing yourself. I'm fucking tired of her bullshit. Girl, just tell me, Rithi says, biting his lip. Look, we can be late for my dead mom's birthday bash, okay, it's fine. She closes the distance between her face and Rithi's. We're young and beautiful and the concept of time is a fucking buzzkill. 6 is fine, I chime in. Oh hey Ves, Rithi says, oblivious to my focus on the veins of his forearms. Excited for college? You got any weed, Rithi? Maly interjects, slamming back into her seat. Rithi twists his face into an even bigger smile. You know I do. With barely a nod, Maly tells me she'll be right back, that if I leave she'll be pissed. She gets out of the truck and walks Rithi to his uncle's duplex, just down the block, as if leading a disoriented puppy home. His hand slides down her back to hover over her ass, which sways just enough with every step. He cocks his head slightly, to witness Maly by his side, before looking forward again. Even from here, I can tell how enraptured he is by her, how much his own dumb luck astounds him, that he should be so blessed this early in his life, all of us only 3 months into adulthood. And here's the part where gets common, right? Or rather, here's the part that makes outgrown Power Rangers twin sheets feel pretty awesome, allowing the Shrey to understand how men see her thick eyeliner and her fake nails, letting the pro assert power for just a moment, over his own dark skin and his addict father with the bad, broken English. Here's the part that seems like a revelation until it's forgotten as life is lived, because nothing special about an adulthood spent in the asshole of California, which some government official deemed worthy of a bunch of PTSD'd out refugees, farting out dreams like it's success intolerant. This is the part just like the Thai Lakerns, those soap operas from Bangkok dubbed into Khmer and burned onto wholesale discs from Costco. The Shrey raggedy and poor, flush with the blood of forgotten royalty, angry from the backstabbing of wills and inheritances, cons her way into the arms of the prince whose family is the very cause of her misfortune. She allows the scheme to redeem her family's name to blind her to the feelings of real love developing beneath the high jinks, the pratfalls, her awkward but whimsical personality. Little does she know, everything will soon feel like a missed opportunity, as the prince enlists in the army to prove his manhood, because every Thai prince in every Thai soap, like every shitty pro in every shitty neighborhood, always craves some higher purpose. For now though, the Shrey basks in the prince's hot breath, the shock of secret touches, the rush of manipulation. And hey, at least she isn't the sidekick, the faggy best friend. Because there he is, in every episode of every different version of the same dumb story, the Tui, sidelined to the bleachers, baking in the sun, expected to get off not by his own pro, but simply by the idea of the Shrey he supports getting hers. Of course, all these depressing thoughts aside, I am relieved, regardless of how demeaning it feels, to have some peace as I wait for Maly and Rithi to finish fucking. I'm even happy for her, that on this nightmare of a day, she can find solace in her boy toy's tight body. Though I'm assuming that's how Maly feels about it. She hardly ever talks about her mom in a serious way. I look into the windows of the duplex where Maing has lived since the 80s, since before Maly's mom, her niece, committed suicide, and long before she took in Maly when Maly's dad proved just another fuck-off Cambodian man. Ma Ing's pointing antagonistically at the other Mas in her kitchen, instructing them on how to cook certain dishes not amok for the party tonight. She's probably still pissed that Maly's shown so little respect for the ceremony's preparations. I wonder how Ma Ing must feel right now, clinging to the desperate wish that her dead sister's dead daughter has another chance at life, that the forces of reincarnation are working their voodoo spells to rebirth lost souls. Especially those who died as pointlessly as Maly's mom, an immigrant woman who just couldn't beat her memories of the genocide, a single mom who looked to the next day, and the day after that, only to see more suffering. Honestly, if I think about it too hard, I get really mad. I know it's terrible to ask, but why did Maly's mom even have a kid? And why does only she get to tap out of living? Well, joke's on her, I guess, because now she has to deal with yet another life, and in G Block too. Ma Ing's garage door opens, an uproar of Khmer thundering out of the house. Two Mas I recognize from the video store begin sweeping the concrete floor, where we will pray and eat during the party, on sedge mats that imprint our legs with red, throbbing stripes. Again I turn to face the kitchen windows, but Ma Ing has walked out of my sight. Wrapping my hands around the steering wheel, I think about driving off to college right now, leaving behind my worthless possessions, my second-hand clothes, all of it. I could finally start my life, with a blank slate. Only I can't, not yet anyway, as the Mas helping Ma Ing have parked their cars behind mine, blocking the driveway indefinitely. I am about to fall asleep, the cold air from the vent and the oppressive dry heat of the afternoon competing for my skin, when Maly jumps up from under the car window and screams, "Boo! What the fuck is wrong with you?" I say through the coughing fit I've been shocked into, as Maly recovers from laughing hysterically at her own antics. She throws a joint into my lap. "Say thank you," she tells me, and waves at the Mas in the garage with a fake smile. They only stare at her, clutching their brooms like they're prepared to whack us. Least now we won't be sober for this shit. Yet again, like all the times she hid alcohol or lube in my bedroom, offering me a share, Maly looks out for me while remaining, to the very core, self-absorbed. Well, we can't smoke it here, I say. Not in front of Ma Eng's henchmen. We agree to toke up in the closed video store, because we enjoy messing with our uncle's stuff when we're high, so we start walking the quarter mile to get out of G Block, passing duplex after duplex, all of them packed with Cambodian families and guarded by chain-link fences and patches of dirt where grass should be. Halfway to the store, I see the pink duplex my parents rented before we moved, and I remember that G Block used to be called Getaway. I think of how lame and uninspired everything is, these nicknames, this neighborhood. By the time we reach the video store's strip mall, we're drenched in sweat. The Iranian man who owns the liquor market is smoking a cigarette on the sidewalk. He ignores us, too busy leering at the Vietnamese boys outside the Adalbertos. They are throwing cherry poppers at each other's feet and passing around a styrofoam cup, probably horchata. That's the big hit at Adalberto's, and I imagine these boys growing up into rithies and pairing off with their own malice. The boys now explode into laughter as one of them freaks out over the sparks of those mini firecrackers. The poor kid bolts away and Maly shouts, "Run, Forrest, run!" Inside the empty store, we light the joint, both take hits, and then I watch Maly shuffle through the art house films our uncle inherited from the previous owner. Usually she goes straight to the back room and sprawls onto the couch, but not today. She's pretending to be a customer, for shits and giggles, and I guess I'm also pretending, by being around her. We usually split an extra large horchata too, and if we have enough cash a carne asada burrito, the California kind, stuffed with French fries, but only Maly manages to never gain weight, that asshole. Really, I shouldn't be complaining, even if the weed's making me bloated. I'm okay, body-wise, and the handful of times I cruised in Victory Park, I learned that guys aren't picky as long as my mouth is wet and I keep my teeth in check. It was Maly, of course, who taught me how to give a proper blowjob. I suck in another drag and take in the front room. The tacky sales rack of $10 Encore What shirts. The clueless stupidity of our uncle placing the candy dispensers, which are for kids, obviously right next to the dirt red curtain of the porn section. The store's supposed to look like a Blockbuster, but the shelves and bins are spaced out unevenly, with some aisles fitting only one person and others wide enough for jumping jacks. Right now, Maly's in a small aisle, and I'm in a big one, the horror DVD island separating us. Our uncle, who's actually the cousin of both my mom and Maly's mom, pieced out to the homeland for the month, probably to play house with his second family, leaving his younger brother in charge and us with the spare keys. With our older uncle gone, our other uncle disappears from lunch till closing on most days. He also refuses to work on the weekends, so the store's not open right now. A week ago, we were told to burn copies of the latest shipment of Thai Lakerns, to make ourselves useful at work, but instead we take turns smoking weed in the alley, and then pig out on candy bananas from the dispensers. We get up from the couch to man the cash register only when the front door jingles. I'm not about to spend my last week at home ripping bootleg soap operas on DVD shrink with a second-rate laptop. Maybe that's why all the G Block grandmas are so cranky, so filled with contempt, like they're on some karmic warpath of eye rolls. We haven't burned the new Thai Lakerns, and thus we have cheated them of their one pleasure here in America, thousands of miles away from anything they can actually stand. At least that's what I think to myself, now, stoned as fuck. Swear to God, Maly says, still wearing her oversized sunglasses, even here, in this illegitimate video rental business. These movies are fucking weird. In the dark reflection of her lenses, I see Maly draping me in her mom's old dresses as I wobbled on high heels, our lips painted red, eyelids smeared with shadows. Before we screened another movie like Candyman, we viewed that one so many times on the PlayStation 2 my dad bought me, even though he couldn't afford it, hoping I'd be like the normal boys. Earth to VES. She shouts. The fuck's a Videodrome? I snap out of my daze to squint at the DVD she's now holding, by the corner like it's a dirty diaper. Oh yeah, I've seen that one, I say, recalling the last time I watched an actual good movie with Maly Suspiria, and how she couldn't stop cracking up. Fucking idiot, Maly said when a character fell into a pit of wire and got her throat slit. It's about this lame white guy, I explain, who's obsessed with a TV station called Videodrome. I hit the joint and blow rings of smoke into the air, which Maly studies closely, scrunching up her face. The station plays, like, snuff porn. You know, people being sex tortured. Why not jack off to actual snuff porn? Maly asks. Why even bother with a dull artsy film? It's a metaphor, I answer. And the metaphor means what? It's about how we are constantly violated by the media and like TV commercials. I pause to flip through the Thai Lakerns Mawing forced us to watch as kids, which makes me, stupidly, think of my college essay topic, how our Khmer lessons were dubbed Thai shows with confusing plots, shitty camera work, and female characters who all spoke with the voice of the same voiceover actress. I wrote about that, Maly, my gay sob story. There's this part of the movie, I continue, where the white guy's stomach turns into a vagina, you know, and then some other white guy forces a videotape into his vagina tummy. The rape of our minds, or some shit. I don't admit that when I first saw this scene, I found it tempting, and hated myself for that. Instead I passed the joint. That's fucking idiotic. Maly breathes the smoke into and out of her lungs, leaving the joint hanging from her mouth like a French girl in a Goddard film, only brown and poor. Raped by the media, she says, and kills the rest of the joint. Would we even know English without Judge Judy? Guess it's the only way we survived, I say, still searching, absent-mindedly, for a Thai Lakern I might recognize, for something that really pulls or strikes me. Like, we had to let ourselves be violated by all those shows we loved as kids. Full House, Step by Step, Family Matters. Steve Urkel fucked us in the brains every day after school on ABC Family. Did I do that? VES. That's, like, really messed up, Maly replies, and we stare at each other in silence, for a split second, before sliding into laughter. We stay giggling until a Thai Lakern finally catches my eye. Oh shit, remember Nong Nak? I pick up the DVD and hold it over my face, covering my bloodshot eyes with the image of a demented woman, all black hair, pasty skin, and ghostly presence, like the Thai, low-budget version of The Grudge. When I lower the DVD, Maly's face looks frozen. Holy fuck, she says, removing her sunglasses. Without much body awareness, it seems, she tries to climb over the movie bin, almost in slow motion, as though the air has turned into a thick mud. Somehow she makes it to my aisle, struggling, tumbling onto the floor, kicking the entire Kubrick section, and right after she recovers from that unnecessary stunt, she snatches the DVD from my hands. I haven't thought about this in years. Is this the whole thing? She peers over the Khmer words she can't even read. Wasn't it, like, 10,000 hours long? I mostly remember that crazy shrieking, I say, and start impersonating Nong Nak as a vengeful mother spirit, but Maly doesn't react, so I shut up, mid-haunting screech. Then I examine her expression as she contemplates the faded DVD cover, her puffy eyes locked in a staring contest with Nong Nak's. An eternity passes before Maly suddenly says, with a strange sincerity, I've always thought Nong Nak was a badass. She lifts her head, and her eyes, dark orbs in the dim light, cut straight through me. I'm serious, she says, like. Fuck, man. She haunted those assholes for years. Just then I wish Maly could move to LA with me, that we'd keep hanging out until one of us, Maly, obviously got discovered by some Hollywood hotshot, and then maybe I'd make movies of her, because she'd probably be a great actor, actually, the perfect muse, and what else was she going to do? Though that's also the last thing I want, and besides, I'm not attending film school. I applied and was accepted, but it was too expensive. I know it's stupid, Maly adds, almost shaking, but I want my mom, like, out there, you know? Like. Shouldn't she get to torment everyone too? Everyone who wronged her. Right, I begin to say, unable to finish my thought. I'm not even sure I understand what she means. I place my hand on her shoulder, a useless move, I know, but it's the only thing I can offer. We hold this position, not talking or making eye contact, until Maly stops trembling. Then she nudges me off and throws the DVD down the other aisle. She shouts in my face, "You know what we should do right now? Ow. We should play a fucking movie. One last time before you, leave me forever, you dick asshole. And let's make it big this time, epic. Okay? Let's fucking watch a porno. Seriously, stop talking about vagina tummies, and just watch some porn with me. See how long it takes for our minds to feel violated by the media, you know?" I'm not sure how to gauge her enthusiasm, but then Maly dashes for the porn section. "It won't be weird," she says, her voice moving farther and farther from me. "'Cause you're gay and I'm a girl." The porno Maly chooses to screen on our uncle's digital projector comes across as standard shit, bright lights flattering to nothing but bouncing breasts and engorged clits and veiny dicks, all stilted dialogue and stilted facial expressions and stilted moans, the porn actors as enviable as they are gross. The whole shebang. Too many POV shots, too many close-ups meant to put the viewer right there. Seeing a sloppy wet penis enter a sloppy wet vagina, from above, going in and out with the practice tempo of professionals, strikes me as yet another drama for the ages I am meant only to witness, rather than learn from, like the Olympics or presidential debates. My own penis feels faint, non-existent, and not just because Maly's presence has scared it into hiding, but also because I can barely project myself onto the digital projection. What am I, really, but a knockoff version of the woman getting pounded, my dick vestigial and just in the way? It's beside the point though, whether I see myself in this porno world where a mustachioed plumber can unclothe a big-titted MILF with a devious smirk, an arch of the eyebrow because, as always, Maly is forcing herself into the center of my perspective, obstructing my view of the giant, high-def vagina. "Look. He's literally fucking my brains out," Maly says, standing in front of the wall we are using as a screen. From where I'm sitting on the couch, the colossal dick appears to thrust in and out of her left ear, across and through her face. "That's cool," I say, with a half-heartedness I don't try to hide. "The hell is your problem?" Maly snaps. "That was hilarious," she says, pacing back and forth, as she always does when her high peaks, her attempts to be fun crossing into belligerence. The image of straight sex contorts around her body, wrapping her in fleshy colors. "Calm down, okay?" I say. "It's your porno." Maly places her hand on her hips and strikes a pose, shooting me an exasperated look, and then sits down. The porn actors are now fucking more aggressively, and I expect Maly to start heckling them, to crack a joke about the guy's grunting or the woman's moaning. I want her to make a comment that confirms the insanity of this situation. Anything that would align us together as observers of the world, of everyone else but us, outsiders who can see through the bullshit, but instead, she just goes sullen. Lost in thought, she studies the porno. So we sit in silence as the scene nears its climax, as the male actor pulls out of the female actor, as he masturbates vigorously, and she writhes in ecstasy, her vagina almost calling out to his penis to unload itself. And unload it sure does, all over her inner thighs, so much, so that Maly, jumping from her seat, seems to be exploding herself with some newfound motivation. "I need to see this baby," Maly says, darting to the door. Cleaning up so I can run after her, I stop the film and struggle to find the DVD case. Then, before I hit the eject button, the frozen image compels me to pause and sit there, dumbfounded, stoned. I am entranced by the cum covering the woman's bottom half, though not the vagina itself, and, despite my own preferences, this reminds me of failure, somehow. Failure in its most legit form. By the time I catch up with her, Maly's jumping the fence of our second cousin's duplex. Maybe our second cousin wouldn't mind that we're sneaking into her house, but I'm too high and paranoid to deal, and apparently Maly doesn't care about anyone's privacy or taking the extra steps to ask for permission. Anyway, it's too late to calm her down, convince her this may be unwise breaking into the nursery of a baby who happens to be her dead mother, so I follow her nervously through the back door. Our second cousin's napping on the couch, and I fight the urge to yell for Maly to abort her mission, to grab her by the shoulders and remind her that none of this matters, that we shouldn't partake in the stupid delusions of old people wishing their lives had gone another way, that we have each other, just as we always have, even if we're about to be separated by 300 miles, a whole mountain range. Fuck everyone else, I want to say, for burdening the two of us with all their baggage. Let's go back to minding our own business, anything but this. Who cares about our family? What have they ever done but keep us alive only to make us feel like shit? We find the baby's room without any mishaps, other than my growing sense of unease about following Maly down this fucked up rabbit hole of hers. Once inside the bedroom, Maly cautiously approaches the sleeping baby. She shakes her head and clutches the rails of the crib. She looms over this tiny and new body of the mother she grew up without. It's uglier than I thought it would be, Maly says. What did you expect? I ask from behind her, wondering what she is seeing in the baby's face, whether she recognizes a flicker of her mother's soul, or nothing at all. She shakes her head again, but quickly this time. Who do you think my kid will be? You actually believe this? I mean, hypothetically. What if it's mine? You know, after she dies. Now that would be serious karma. Shit, that'd fucking suck, Maly says. I have zero interest in facilitating the rebirth of Ma Eng. She'll pop from my vagina reeking of tiger balm, pinching my ears cause she's, like, already disappointed in me. No way I'm unleashing Maing onto the world all over again. We laugh until we don't, and endure a silence together, with her back still turned to me. Finally, I'd totally have an abortion if I really knew that mine was gestating inside of me. Even as a dead embryo, or even reincarnated, she'd haunt the fuck out of you. Probs, Maly responds, glancing at me from a slant. It's almost like she can't move away from the baby, like something's forcing her to confront it. V.S. Is it weird I want my mom reborn as my child? I don't think so, I answer. Because what else can I say? Watching as she redirects her gaze, as she lowers her hand into the crib, I can't help but imagine Maly hurting the baby. I know that doesn't make any sense, but I worry she's about to do something terrible, even as she caresses its head, delicately, with the gentlest touch of her fingers. I've changed my mind, Maly says. She's actually pretty cute. And this, out of everything, is what chokes me up. The air's suddenly stuffy. I feel the cramped dimensions of the room, the dry roof of my mouth, all the words trying to claw their way out of my throat. Fuck, I now think, teary-eyed, trespassing not in our second cousin's house, but in Maly's world, her one opportunity of peace with this baby. Of course Maly would want to be with her mom, no matter how. Of course she never needed me, not really. Maybe I was the one who was angry, with Maly's mom, with everyone, this entire time. Just me. Right then, Maing opens the door, presumably to collect our second cousin's baby for the party. Her eyebrows collide. She's surprised to see us, but she only tells us to hurry up, that the food is ready, the monks are at her house, and then orders us to bring the baby. So Maly swoops it up and turns around. Standing before me, her reincarnated mom pressed against her body like armor, Maly looks natural, as if she's been preparing to hold this baby her whole life, her cocky anarchy so easily swept away. Let's go, she whispers, following Maing. It takes me a second to realize Maly is talking to the baby, and I find myself overwhelmed by the quiet of the nursery. For a moment, I am the only person in the neighborhood separate from the celebration, from the grandparents and the parents, including my own, and the babies. From all the generations, old and new, dead and alive, or even reborn. Staying here, in Maly's wake, I understand how truly alone I am. This night after the monks bless Maly's reincarnated mom, after everyone toasts the baby and feasts on food the baby can't even eat, after our drunken uncle sing too many karaoke songs, and after Rithy whisks Maly away, for only an hour, to bring her back with nothing but hickeys, I dream I'm in the Videodrome. Around me towers of TVs broadcast the programs meant to brainwash our minds, the conspiracies of our time on every channel, including Maly's lives playing in tandem on hundreds of screens. In every single one, she's a different girl, with different caretakers who express their affection in odd ways, who sacrifice too much to raise her, who abandon her for various reasons. Self-loathing scumbags and narcissistic good guys and corrupt role models of all genders float in and out of her lives, hurting her most of the time, but others, when she's lucky, they push her into something like happiness. Regardless, she eventually has kids, sometimes many, sometimes only one, all of them growing up with forms of entitlement she never understands, all of them loved by her, fiercely, no matter what. And still, every iteration of Maly's life, despite any trace of rebellion, any nitty-gritty details, they all map out to a similar pattern, follow the same arc into the very same ending. Surrounded by visions of Maly, I regret that I won't remember each of her lives, but I will keep this, standing here in the Videodrome, watching my cousin grow into the same mother across all her reincarnated selves, as I wonder about my tweeness, how it fits into the equation before me, and doesn't. Then I wake up. I rise out of my twin bed, look around my room, the sunlight from the window exposing the floating dust, like the phantom beam of a projector. And finally, I start packing.